Okay. Hello, everyone. I wanted to just give a really quick talk, honestly. I think it should be a short talk. But I just wanted to attempt to answer the question, how can a perfectionist live in an imperfect world? To me, that's a fascinating idea. Why? Because it is literally the clash of the opposites. Or actually, I wrote, how can a perfectionist cope with an imperfect world? So I guess, I don't know, for all those beings who feel this, the idea has to come. The resolution comes through an understanding that your mind is living ahead of your body. The mind has freedoms the body doesn't have. When we can't discriminate between the mind and body, we lose the self. So one has to have the sort of patience to notice the original presence of life where they can truly see who they are, right? So the idea is, some people like Salvador Dali said, don't fear perfection, you'll never reach it. And what it means is that the mind is limitlessly beyond just a snapshot evaluation of a perception of reality. Like one moment's view does not surpass the magnitude of like the whole cosmic situation. Where does organization begin? What does human attention hold on to? I mean, honestly, your life is either like dualistically, per the concept of perfection and imperfection, that's in a dualistic domain. The idea of perfection is an idea that is getting close to infinity. You know, a perfect experience through time would be an infinite, you know, would be a timeless experience. There may come a time where consciousness does experience immortal selfhood. We don't know. We're just alive now, and we can just play with. It's like there's a task at hand. There was this anime show called Naruto, and it had this notion of like there was always like an elder or like Hokage that was watching over the whole kind of community. So imagine the ability to watch life beyond what your sight is to like what your how can I tell you? It's like I couldn't tell this apart when I was younger. That I knew I had never known anybody because the mystery of how the mind is working at all is like there. Honestly, I constantly think about strategy, and these talks are just a way of me of like sharing it. So I constantly think that, okay, if the greatest idea is like that, okay, we attain an advanced human beings in an advanced civilization, that's kind of like an effort at paradise on earth, right? There's so many arguments that just point to everything going to human beings having to show their true effort before they are dismissed, you know? Either we were a phase in nature, kind of like how species go extinct, or we were something more. something was cultivated in the human experience. It's not that the spirit was made, but the spirit of how the mind animates itself was made. You know, what I'm trying to say is like, how long are we gonna act and kind of like dress up in this idea that we're just human beings when there is so much more to our intelligence? Like literally, they're trying to build teleportation machines. Like literally, I can remember yesterday, yo, I just like teleported yesterday as a memory into now, right? Therefore, weaving a new now, right? So every time you remember something, there could be this argument that it's not the same moment anymore. The notion is that we're kind of like tunneling through variations of our self as being. Like right now, do you know how I want to give this talk? I want to give this talk imagining an advanced civilization. Do you know how comfortable I would be? Because in the subconscious background analysis of my life, I knew that, all right, the whole system is advancing. It's not a waste of time. Do you know, if human effort was meaningless, it was a freaking hallucination anyways. Right? Unless the combination of an elemental life form, carbon-based life form infusing with some sort of technological jump towards a new domain of like mindhood, right? So like if somebody was to tell me like, okay, let's say right now it's 2024. In 2424, there's a huge chance that speaking will be obsolete, because the passage of information has to be instantaneous. Right now, I have to, like, I'm seeing something behind my eyes, I'm turning it into language, and I'm like telling people. I'm literally surfing, literally watching how my mind moves, and in accordance to that, like piloting towards the essence of the lecture. What I'm saying is, I expect a civilization that has so many backup systems. Like, I was like, okay, what's really gonna happen is not that we're all gonna like F up and mess up and like human beings were stupid and we like destroyed ourselves. That's not what's gonna happen. What I consider, at least, is one person's perception, is that the world is going to become ignorant and foolish. Maybe this is a probability. The world is going to become ignorant and foolish, and it's going to destroy itself. And this music does not match this like lecture I'm trying to give. I'm trying to tell you, imagine the world was bigger beyond your consideration. I'm trying to tell you that I have attempted as a human being, like true perfection. I tried it because I had an obsessive mind. The nature of my mind was that in some way I felt like I was being taunted by anything that my life force couldn't like at some point solve, right? So there was this force in that, as if there's something more than just this kind of theater. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you honestly think about it, like there was a time where I thought like the planet was a farm. And I'm like, yo, instead of like their fences, the fences are made of language. And the nature of human beings thinking that they're an ideal when they are an unknown presence of intelligence, like a uniqueness of their own DNA, right? Like in actuality, what's going on is media is focusing on individuals, right? But if you shifted, like, who was it? I think, let me find the quote. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt. There we go. So Eleanor Roosevelt, this madam of an earlier era of history, says great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. Right now, the media is focusing on people. What are the mistakes people are making? They're not shifting the narrative to like, yo, what is the species doing wrong? Like if and arguments are getting destroyed, it's like a gladiator arena of like what sort of conclusion of a great of out of all the great ideas should we have on what the human narrative should be. The species, when it wasn't conscious, see, like just like how, for example, it's kind of hilarious, just like how Karl Marx was like, yo, these poor workers were like fucking like getting crushed by like early kind of like cruel capitalism, right? But then times changed, human nature changed. So what I'm telling you is, if you're a human being and you're living throughout the day and you're thinking about people, that's a small level mind. That means you're gonna have like that domain of a reality accessible as a context to your life. Now, let's say you're like, yo, man, I don't want to be a small mind. I want to be an average mind. Help me, Eleanor. Do you know? And Eleanor says average minds discuss events. So you surpass the consideration of individuals. Like, what are just individuals doing? How do I feel? How does my perception and mind feel about an individual? And you surpass that. And you came to a mindset that, okay, how do I consider the event? The event of the human life surpasses the categorization of it in the outer realms. It's massive storytelling, folks. Where, like, on some level, we're on a rock in the middle of nowhere, but this does not make the world devoid of higher form, because the world has to, in the way it has shown itself to us. The secret of reality has always been there. That's the whole point. All those people seeking enlightenment. A part of me kind of like, I like the reason I think I found the idea of the advanced civilization is because a part of me felt dishonored. Why? Because the species had no honor. Do you know how freaking like sad it feels to be in a species that has no collective honor? People are fighting over ideological systems. They're fighting over their images. They're fighting over appearances. We're fucking still animals. It's like we're just because we wore clothing doesn't mean the animal's gone. Right? So the notion has to be, how do we manage 8 billion animals to have these 8 billion animals advance into the era of minds? And then when these 8 billion animals advance into the era of minds, the animal is in relation to itself. So you can say an animal is an organism that is limited by what it can see itself as. Kind of like, imagine like a cell. Consciousness to how the whole thing is happening is taking the attention of the person from an individual to what is the impact of an individual, right? Like, I think truly a person truly becomes knowledgeable when they suddenly, like, one day they have this epiphany or like this kind of like shocking realization, like, oh my God, what if everything everyone has ever said was inaccurate? What if it was inaccurate by 1%? 99% of everything everyone had said was true, imagine. But it had that 1% off. So your attention would suddenly be, like, in some sense, okay, why is the possibility still there if it's considered impossible? Why do we have minds that can envision ahead? Like it's obvious. We have freaking inventors. What is an inventor? Yo, this is what an object like a light bulb or an AC motor could look like. Do you know? To me, it's all like, let me tell you what it is. Honestly, I think everybody is actually in this era, in this modern era, people in modern times in urban areas, I think everybody is conscious that there is an unknown question mark behind what we are considering to be life. Do you know? That means at some point you're like, wait a minute. Why am I here? right? Why am I being and that being that has, like, think about it, guys. Just look at yourself wherever you are listening to me. Just look at your, like, your hands or something. You know what I mean? You're like, look at your body. Look at how you're being an organism right now, right? So this organism has a capacity of organizing reality, correct? Because, like, honestly, Greek mythology was right about this, that if there is a chaos that is an original station of reality. So it was as if meaninglessness, 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 suddenly a creature that can perceive meaning. Do you see what I mean? So it's a unique, it's a rare incident just by being able of capable of noticing more than the self. So I saw all the spiritual people sitting in mountains, living solo lives, thinking, yo, man, I'm a free spirit. But are you a responsible free spirit or an irresponsible free spirit? Because it's very easy. It's very easy to not care about your world and to abandon it and walk just in your interrupts. Like I did that shit. And you know what happens? You feel as if something should have been happening that is not, right? So, anyways, let's say after you became fascinated from people and then you became even more fascinated, you saw events. Oh my God, what's happening with people's lives? Like they're not just old biological objects. They're kind of like consciousness that's generating subjective archetypal, I don't know, personality expression. How the hell do you talk about this? How the hell do you talk about this? You know. But anyways, from events we go to Eleanor Roosevelt saying, "Yo, relax, everybody. Great minds discuss ideas." So I guess I'll jump to perhaps a great mind would discuss, at least to make this episode worthwhile, to align my attention to the episode really. Eleanor Roosevelt gave us a clue. Great minds discuss ideas. We wonder about what does that mean. It means just like how a person logs into a video game. When you wake up in the morning, you've logged into your biological body. When you wash your face in the mirror and kind of like go navigate the day, like that's like, do you understand what I'm saying? You're a multi-leveled being, but because you have a singular faith in your own energy just being here, it aligns. But the idea should be a sort of, honestly, this is what I realize, that there is higher authorization. But this authorization does not mean we are excluded. It means when you get super spiritual, you realize it means to perceive life beyond a self. I've experienced dehumanized states. It's just after some point you stop feeling like you're an entity. But so I piloted back down, like life was graceful to me. So now my attention is constantly on, like, okay, let's play the human role. Let's be this character who's meant to exist in the lives of a species, right? Let's be the bannerman. Let Amin Jabbar Ansari be the bannerman of how the future was so much, like, it's so better. You don't understand. We're not just physical organisms. We have a dimension that's purely based on just the witnessing force. Right? This doesn't mean this witnessing force is your soul. Let's get super hyped out of that. It just means that, okay, if we're to build an advanced civilization, we need the advanced humanity. To have the advanced humanity only activates upon envisioning an advanced civilization. So literally how you run the engine, start the engine of an advanced civilization on an idea level, I guess, you try to take the attention that, okay, behind your eyes, wonder about what your most advanced self in the most advanced world would look like. Do this. Wonder behind your eyes what the most advanced version, what the worst version, what the most chaotic, organized version, what is the perception of reality? Where is its power arising from? And what is the role of an organized, like, evolutionary organism, right? Like a person could be like, I'm Superman. I'll be like, great, Superman. Do you want to also be human? Like, and Superman's like, yeah, man, of course I want to be human. I don't want to just save the world all the. And imagine we say, okay, human, man, like Superman, you gotta kind of like realize you're just human from now on. And the idea is that power comes out of necessity, not a desire to fight evil. It comes out of responsibility because it's the clash of inner life freedom, outer life collective freedom. To build an advanced system means we gotta kind of wait. Like every person has to climb the mountain of advancement, stay on the peak and wait, but not wait like not doing nothing. Like, do you understand? It's kind of like there's three there's three, let's say, dimensions to life. You gotta kind of like strategize and respond. One is like how do I treat the past? How do I treat the present? And what do I do with this notion of future? Why does Mr. Within keep talking about being a future strategist? Right? Like, what is the value in it having a mind that can simulate the experience before you enter it? So the notion is that every person is like, again, like a rare instrument, right? That it's like your DNA nobody has, your eyes nobody has, your emotions nobody has, your the journey and burden of life you feel nobody has. So you got to understand that what is the value? The value is to, in some sense, start to build advancing reality and starting from the sectors of reality. This has to mean that perfection is possible contextually. The only way a person can be perfect is if the world is perfect. The only way we can truly know we're an advanced being is not just because in our inner realms it's advanced, also that the outer realms has to align. It's like I just want to see what the most advanced effort expression, like the best effort of the human species is. Like, is this really what it was? We made mistakes and we like sunk the ship of the human legacy, or is it way more celestial than our thoughts could limit? Eleanor Roosevelt says the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Yeah, so what's the point of dreaming? The point of the future is like the past is past, you can't do anything about it. The present is a station. So the present is all about discovering the nature of your attention. And the secret of it is really concentration. Why? Because there's so much in the world that can draw the human attention to it. Right? So it's, I'm not saying it's inner discipline, but it's honestly like you gotta like be fascinated by a singular position and then dualistic, and then you realize beyond duality you have access to infinity. Beyond infinity there's the void. So what does that mean? These are the dimensions to life. That means you look at, like, it's like the way people, when somebody passes away, they cry, correct? I'm Muslim, guys, by the way. But that's in like my conscience, let's say, level, right? Not on an external level. Because what I'm trying to say is that for me, I think that if we were created by greatness, then we should perform greatly. Whatever argument you say, the greatness of the human species is an all-in. Perfection is literally infinite effort. That's what perfection means. That means it's as if the person's like, I don't know if I'm perfect, let me try. And then they realize, oh my God, it has to happen eternally. That means imagine in your mind there was no time. Imagine there was something going to happen on this earth that you had to instantly advance in all the dimensions of your perception. It would have to start from your consideration of it, right? So I guess when it comes to, let me read some perfection course. Perfectionist. Perfectionist. Sherry Lungai says it's a bit of a headache being a perfectionist. You're never satisfied. Tom Ford says, I am a perfectionist. This job is a total ego thing in a way. To be a designer and say this is the way they should dress, this is the way their homes should look, this is the way the world should be. But then, that's the goal. World domination through style. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's constantly being like, yo, man, I'm living once. I gotta go all out. Let me just look up perfection quotes. I think that's. Oh my god. Okay. Vince Lombardi, perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. I think that's exactly what I was trying to say with the endless endurance approach. Ann Landers, love is friendship that has caught fire. It is quiet understanding, mutual confidence, sharing and forging. It is loyalty through good and bad times. It settles for less than perfection and makes allowances for human weaknesses. Aristotle, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. Michelangelo, the true work of art is but a shadow of the divine perfection. This is true. This is when like you really become religious. When you see that higher performance requires a consideration of a more intelligent universe. It starts from your attention. What do you wield? In the outer realms, you move your body. In the inner realms, what can you do? Why are you conscious? Why are you capable of listening and understanding what I'm saying? Right? So you're an intelligent being. So what is the vision then? So I'm saying, yo, there's 8 billion human beings. What are they doing? Right? So the idea seems to be that they're all trapped in their own worlds. They're all struggling for their greatest outcome, yet they're doing individually. Why? Because the faith in a trustworthy human species has kind of like faded long ago. So really what we have to do is in an advanced civilization, the honor for how advanced life should be corrects, realigns ignorance. Do you understand? That means there's a sense of honor. Like every moment you're doing nothing on Earth, you're like, what's happening to Earth? What's happening to the species? What's happening to all these intelligent beings that are the legacy of all of us, right? Because you could be my friend, you could be my enemy, but I know that all of us are crucial. Why? Because it took a long time. Do you know how many of our ancestors had to do the right thing for us to be here? Like it's kind of bizarre how I'm existing even as a being to even communicate. But the notion is that the intelligence is moving superior to the outer realm. So that means that whatever we are as an intelligent force, it has a capacity to see, like sensory perception, reception, but then suddenly it reaches a point where it can like I'm in a car right now, but my mind gives me access to envision the car like flying in the sky, like it's where the car had a button or something. Right? So the notion is that the mind can see that which defies physics or that which does not exist yet. The mind is so powerful that you have to quickly notice what part of you is your mind, kind of like your own perception, and what is a perspective beyond you. And my approach is that try to find as many angles before you make a decision. And what I mean by this, angles of perception to the same moment. It's kind of like imagine there was a column and there was like something written on the column. Or imagine like I went to this museum where okay, let's say there was like paintings all over this column, right? You had to go around the column to see all the paintings. Similarly, in every situation in life, there's a central point of design where it's starting from, and all you got to do is from your own unique perspective, just watch it, and you suddenly see the innovation there. It's like they were like, yo, man, this guy is a genius. He is unfolding a level of novelty is surprising, but at the same time, that guy is saying that everybody is already being this in the inner realms. It's a matter of activating it in the outer realms. There was a time in the legends of the human archives of history, like the idea that people spoke in verse. Leonardo da Vinci, men of lofty genius, sometimes accomplish the most when they work least, for their minds are occupied with their ideas and the perfection of their conceptions to which they afterward give form. Alright, that dude's tripping. But it's a kind of accurate. Why? Because there is an inner modeling going on to the human intelligence. Guys, the reason I'm holding my phone is because the laptop's overheating. So I'll finish this. St. Augustine, this is the very perfection of a man. To find out his own imperfections. Why? Because once you have access to both aspects of your nature, once you unify your mind, that means you become a being that you realize you have the capacity for good, you have the capacity for evil, you also have the capacity for ignorance, and you have the capacity for advancement. Advancement is incredible because it surpasses any idea. It has no rival. It's just the nature of reality. It's surpassing itself. Thank you for listening, guys. I don't know what else to say. I guess how can a perfectionist cope in an imperfectionist, imperfect world? The way if I consider myself to be a perfectionist in certain moments, not all the time, because usually I think life is something that you don't hold seriously with your attention, but there's moments where you need to. The purpose of life for an intelligent being is actually the intelligence changing the whole life. Thank you for listening, guys. Take care. And honestly, if you're a perfectionist, my approach was that like perfection in an ultimate level is inconceivable because it will be a perfection related to speed, and speed faster than light is invisible to the eye. So that means the perfection kind of doesn't exist. But in our effort to try to figure out that perfection, we're surpassing human limits and therefore, ushering in the era of the advanced man, the advanced mankind, the advanced humanity. The human species was no longer cruel. It was intelligent enough to find a way to kind of create, eat food that didn't have to require killing animals, right? It was intelligent enough to communicate with all life forms. Children were at peace in the sense that they were like in compassionate natural environments, and it was as if all the earth was filled with trees and nature, and above pillars there were made cities and towns, eventually the future of the civilization becoming interstellar spaceships. The future is so advanced that our fears are meaningless if we choose to be that which we are meant to be. Like there's something, like I don't know who you are listening to this, but I guess this is the final conclusion. Perfection in your inner realms, it's based on your own contentment, temperament, right? Like with your own contentment, like what do you accept as a being, right? But at the same time, I can tell you this, that I have attempted to be perfect foolishly, like a blind fool, but innocently. And what I have learned in my attempts of trying something new is the discovery of a new self. So all this time that we've had fear, all this time that we've actually like didn't want to try something new, or life was a loop, or whatever it was, or we didn't think we deserved to even think big, or whatever it was, you at some point see like, wait a minute, there's more. The greatness of your world. Like imagine you put your hand on the ground and you suddenly felt the earth's heartbeat, and you realize that you are alive not just for yourself, you're alive for your species, for the not it's no longer for the glory of Rome, it's for the glory of the advancement of the most efficient. We want the smartest decision, the most efficient decision, the purest compassionate decision. Why? Because the mind in peace allows genius to expand. So to accelerate genius, the outer realms have to become peaceful, and violence has to be shifted into the cyberspace pretty much. But I'll tell you this, try to become perfect at being imperfect, and you'll realize that none of it mattered at all. Your attention is beyond the categorization of an aspect of your being. Your mind has a role, your body has a role, that which watches it all has a role, the authority that moves all of us has a role. And the world is magnificent because it is alive and it is moving, and you are not just an object, you are the force that moves. We get to experience life as a being, and it's glorious. Right now, this glory has to extend to the future generations. It's pretty much being like the future generations. Imagine if children from the future generations, like a school trip, they came to the past and they're like, "Yo, guys, change your ways." And I imagine we looked at them and we're like, "Go back, guys. We don't need to know, because our vision is simply this." In order to have an advanced civilization, we need 8 billion advanced beings. You, as a listener, have to, at least if you're interested in the notion of advanced civilization, you have to live as if your most advanced, greatest version of your being, if it was watching, and then imagine the greatest version of the purity of totality. That means God is watching as well. How will you perform in this test of life? Rise, mankind, rise. An advanced civilization is the future's birthright. Thank you for listening. The future potential of the species seems to me way more promising than the mistakes of it. That's why I'm saying the future was made inaccessible. Mr. Within is the person who freed the human mind in 2024 from the notion that you're not just a freaking idea. You're an energetic being present in a cosmic event, in the grandest happening. This is your life and all of ours as well. At least spatially, we're in the same existential server, poetically. Thank you for listening. Reality is beyond an idea. It means truly look at it, and then your appreciation becomes your cultivation. Your perfection means that you have to see your greatest effort before you give up. That's really what it means. If you cultivate that, I think everybody can surpass, at least in certain domains. Thank you for listening. And join Mr. Within's research lab. I'm planning some very cool assignments for people. Kind of like, I don't want to say it's like a homework vibe, but it's like a research team vibe. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening.